and who has many hats, Felix. I'm going to let you do the intro because if I do an intro, that's going to take for 5 minutes. So, Cecilia from Your PR Strategist, Melissa Kirken from Satoshi21, and Kodha Bali. We have Utkarsh, the CSO of KoinBX, and of course, my old friend Chris from Sandbox, head of growth. So, have you guys join the stage? Yeah, big round of applause for you guys, especially, for breaking the traffic and making me here on time. So, especially Chris is not keeping too well, so, he really appreciate you being here, Chris. So yeah, just, an overview of what we're going to be talking about today. Pretty much, we're going to be talking about what's happening, how we navigating Web3. It's a good month for us, and I'm sure everyone has a lot to say on where the space is heading in 2025. So we're looking at what are the new trends from the tech side of things, what's happening on the investment side of things, and of course, macro outlook over 2025. So I'll just do a quick, just go around the panel, introduce tell us a bit about what you're doing and investment stuff you're doing in the space. Cecilia.
Well, hi, I'm Cecilia Wong. I'm the founder CEO of European Strategies, YPRS. We are headquartered in Singapore, but we've been serving clients from APAC to the Middle East, Europe, as well as the US, Canada. I think Japan is probably the only region that we haven't touched on in any significant way, but hopefully that's going to change at some point. We basically have been helping for the last 5 years founders, startups, just projects that need us to help them grow their communities, help them to do their branding, build their brand stories, brand reputations. That has been mainly what my agency has been doing, as well as giving advisory and things like that. Thank you.
Thank you. My name is Melissa Kirken. I'm from Turkey, Istanbul, and over the last 5 years, I'm the founder and CEO of Satoshi21. We started as a community of founders, investors, and builders pre-COVID, and we tried during COVID actually. And we're based in Bali, actually, there's the headquarters, but we're operating in 8 countries. And I started early in Bitcoin. I started writing white papers, I paid in Bitcoin, and I've been a tokenomics expert and specifically working on quantifiable business models for startups and turning them to fundraising. And right now, Aeternum is serving as a venture studio with its creative farm, creative studio, Aeternum Labs, Dev House, and Aeternum Ventures. We are now going more active investing institutionally. So it's been an interesting couple of years. In Asia, it's going crazy, and I think it's part of the total disruption of accumulated power in finance and in trends. So it's really exciting to be a part of this trend in 2 years. Thank you.
Let's use this one. Hello, my name is Felix. Based in Bangkok, here for a very long time. We used to found the Dash network back in the days in Thailand, so we were building payment ecosystems when there were only 3 coins out there, Dash, Litecoin, and of course Bitcoin. The first Bitcoin fork was the first DAO in the world. It was a very good run. Since then, a lot has happened. Very happy to see the Thailand community coming back, and everybody things were coming. Right now, I'm focused on 2 projects among many other hats I'm wearing. One is an IoT project based in Germany. We're building sensors that can measure air quality and all kinds of things. The second one is unsorted AI, which is a Uniswap for data that you can very hardly access for AI models. So, for example, location data, user data, social media behavior, and that's what we're building.
Hello everyone, my name is Chris. It's good to be back to of course. So right now I'm leading the sandbox in working with big brains and onboarding them into the metaverse. So actually out there, along the Web3 there, I think the sandbox is still one of the easier story to tell big brains this is how it can work, this is how crypto work, and this is how you create an NFT, for example. So our number actually is still showing very, sustainable growth from year to year. So it's good to be back, and thank you, Robbie, for inviting me again.
Thank you. So, I am officially the Chief Strategy Officer at KoinBX. I first got introduced to crypto like about 2016 by my wife's friend, and then whatever I earned, I lost it eventually. Then I got back into crypto again because of the blockchain technology. I was into IT services and all, and then I picked up. Now I'm into completely crypto exchange. My day-to-day life looks like I run after every single department, look after how the system and the organization is running. I look at the growth strategy, I look at compliances, I look at hiring, I look at education, I look at the initiatives which are related to the government authorities and everyone. We connect with them. FIU for that matter every year. So this is what my day-to-day life is all about. I'd be happy.
Thanks, Victor. So I want to start on the tech side of things because we're here for DevCon. So I think it's only fitting that we start with the tech side of things. Felix, I want to go over to you. What do you think the most exciting tech trends emerging in terms of how we're going to solve scalability and anything else that is wrong with Web2 or bridging Web2 and Web3?
Well, one word is meme coins. I think everybody's into those, and kind of reduces crypto to the core of what it is: supply and demand, attention economies, pumping stuff. I think it's actually pretty funny because the whole year, while the bull market was not there, everybody was exploring the next big narrative, and I think big in the race was RWA, Bitcoin L2, Deepen, and of course AI. Suddenly became all somewhat important for people just trading meme coins. So I'm a bit sarcastic, I guess, at this point, where I'm happy to see everybody really building products that are used by anyone. I'm somewhat skeptical sometimes when I
No, I know. There's a reason why I asked you, because you're a no bullshit guy. Right? You started. There are, of course, narratives, right? There's always a narrative whenever there's a bull market. There is something that's trending. I hear people in AI being thrown around everywhere, but of course, a lot of great projects doing work in this space. Right? I really like the idea of decentralized compute, which seems like an amazing thing, but beyond all that fluff, there is still good stuff being built, right? So I want to get to the core of that. Of course, we're all skeptical, but what do you see from the tech perspective that actually is working and could push us towards mass adoption?
think at the end of the day, change gets faster, more transaction, but it's somewhat empty without why you need it, right? And what are these chains actually used for? I come somewhat to the conclusion that most of it is, machines trading with machines, market makers trading with market makers. So for all of that, it's really awesome. But the big talk on everybody's adopting blockchain now, they're switching. It's media stories where when you look under the hood, you most of the time are somewhat a bit disappointed. But I still have hope. Let's see if the people are moving in. There's a lot of innovation across chains coming finally and move assets along. So let's see who's using it for.
Yeah, just to follow up on that, so cross-chain interoperability. Are you seeing anything interesting happening there that's really making a difference? Because they're not just these words we throw around.
It's getting easier to use that stuff, right? You can trustlessly use move assets moving across chain. But then again, why do you use cross chain? If you build more financial ecosystems that are trading with each other, it's great. And it's a big use case for crypto. But is that use case only trading, only financial markets, or is it really going into property investment, like fractionalizing markets, all this stuff that we're talking about? I'm mostly seeing the trading use case and the financial use case taking off. And that's great.
Yeah, I mean, we've been coming to the conferences, we've been meeting at conferences 2017, right? And we heard about fractionalizing art in Singapore in 2018, but is it happening? No. I mean, I don't know, is it? That's what I want to find out from you guys. Or is it just, fluffy for now? So, art is a great use case, so maybe Melissa and followed by Melissa.
Well, let me talk a bit about the tech part that, because you were asking about what's going on in the space. And I know that Felix is a bit of a naysayer. I was like moderating a panel with you, and you were like, no, it's gonna happen. And it was like, everything that was being brought out, you were like, all you were excited about was AI, right? Like AI this, AI that. Everything else was like, okay, but I get it. There's a lot of skepticism in the space because a lot of the talk, right, and the noise has been going on for a long time. And in terms of seeing real results, not as much, right? But finance, in terms of financial services and all that, yes, but I think that, because I guess the origins, for this whole space was Bitcoin. Bitcoin was really the first use case. But, okay, coming back to tech, I'm just actually pretty excited about some of the things that I see actually happening in the space. One of them has to do with the interoperability, of course. I see now that's being in the Bitcoin space, which I think is pretty cool, because for a long time it was only just in the other EVM spaces, everything that was not Bitcoin. But in the past year plus, I'm seeing like all these kinds of things happening on the Bitcoin network. Like there are things built by ICP. Like lots of chains are now able to through different kinds of hubs, like do these crossovers and do them very smoothly. So I'm pretty excited about that. And the other thing that is, I think, even more exciting is how with AI, there are now these new, I haven't actually seen if it's actually happening yet, but I do remember that I came across some instances where they, like I said, I have to look deeper into it, but they are actually now able to use chat prompts, right? A little bit like, with the way you do into ChatGPT, to be able to do wallet transactions. So that for me is like, wow, that is like another level again, to actually do these kinds of transactions and things with just chat prompts. I think that's pretty cool, like pretty exciting.
Thank you. Well, do you like to rewind the question, or I get a little bit of a round of?
No, just speak my conversation. What are asking about?
So I think the most important thing for me is to clarify this sort of narrative overall. Like all the sciences, as it all started with Aristotle, it was only one thing. And then with the accumulation of information and different trends, and also information mainly, you have to divide some categories of everything. So right now, with this whole institutional investment trends, if you was to other countries buying Bitcoin and even turning their swap currency into Bitcoin, we cannot assess everything in crypto on the same level. So we need a certain classification of what is what. And for that, we have to categorize in a way that like everything decentralized, everything that is for privacy, and everything that is basically permissionless without KYC and everything. That's still out there. That's how we all started. And then there is this whole hybrid trends where there's a real business. We all started with DAOs and also some real asset tokenization and business tokenization, tokenized membership and restaurants and all that. So that's kind of the hybrid stuff where most retail users and investors are more easy and comfortable to get in. And I put all exchanges, centralized exchanges, in that realm as well. Because essentially, a centralized exchange has so little to do different than an actual bank. And after FTX, and also Celsius and Terra Luna and everything, we all together watched a huge failure of a central point of failure and what it means, basically. And after that, I had actually gave a talk about like, and the main thesis was you cannot restrict financial benefit and the core blockchain values and expect everything is going to go well, because it's not going to go well at all. If you want the benefits of crypto and all those 10x's, 100x's, you have to endorse self-custody, you have to endorse privacy, you have to endorse like all these other things. And now, the only way to navigate around the multiplicity of layer 1s, layer 2s, and all that is basically to look at the core standpoints, because the meaningful, the impactful technology is ideological, and it has to serve something, even if the right product market fit is not there yet. And that's what we saw with Bitcoin. And that's really important to understand which product, speaks to which market, with which value actually. And for that also, the institutional trends. So now there's also the second trend, post FTX, the first one. Everything got into a separation where there are centralized projects and that use blockchain and cryptocurrency as a means for the infrastructure. And then, which was like considered more safe and everything. And then there is the fully decentralized one. And then post Bitcoin and Ethereum ETF trends, both in China and US, then we see the different trends in the speculative market. It's not going to maybe fluctuate like crazy anymore. So the trading trends are going to change. The retail, like it's turning into a more stock value, asset value kind of class. So it's obviously going to attract more people, and it's just important to do that clarification of notions and understand where they're standing for what purposes, I guess.
Got it. So I think I just thought of an example. People talk about bringing billion users on chain. India is putting the TRAI, the Telecom Regulatory Authority of India, is already using blockchain for spam control. So there's a use case, of course, it's not necessary. I think it's people think blockchain, crypto, asset speculation. But I think it's a lot beyond all of that. But I also think that gaming, this is a personal belief that gaming is going to bring in the next billion users. Of course, it's not been an easy ride, and I think Chris, you can speak to this. Sandbox has been doing great work, and want to know what you've been doing at Sandbox, and how do you think that gaming can bridge that gap and bring the next billion users?
I think even without the Web3, if you look at the country, even in Thailand or in Vietnam, gamification is already part of the traditional digital transformation. So company, banks build up mini games, casual games, so that they can attract their user better and serve their user better. And suddenly you adding the flavor of the Web3 gaming, where people actually can own certain NFT, which may carry some value in the future, for example. And also you can use the blockchain to protect, like your games, your platform from fraud and basically monetize program as well. So for example, right now, the sandbox is running its fourth alpha season. So we giving out, like for example, like 2 million cents in total as reward. So based on the level and the points that you unlock in the system, then you can redeem those points, and those points no doubt, on blockchain, so it can be automatic and easy for people to redeem as well.
But you think in terms of user adoption, where are the gaps that need to, because it's interesting, all of this stuff is interesting that you're gamifying the potential to earn, right? And we saw that happen with play to earn, but why did it not sort of take off as we expect?
Because we haven't have a new batch of players yet. So the only way you can expand your user base and everything is working with really traditional brands. And these traditional brands, fans, they have no idea about Web3 and everything. But because they love the brand so much, the IP, for example, then they go ahead and and try their first Web3 journey, for example. And in this sense, I think Sandbox is working extra aggressive in working with like traditional brands, because it's take time for them to understand and actually trust you. It's very different from, I would say, like a more native Web3 games like Axie Infinity, Pixel, because I feel like we already hit the maximum number of Web3 gaming player in the market. That's it. So you have to go further to get more users. Yeah.
I think there's that gap, and I've heard this multiple times, being in Web3 for the last 6 years. I have a friend here as well who brought this up, Sheffy. So the other day he was telling me, when Web2 people are trying to come to Web3, whether it's a gamer or a traditional developer, it's very intimidating. The jargon that's thrown around, the tech aspect of it, of course, it's very intimidating to someone. So why do you think that is, and how can we solve that? Then it's an education problem, right? You think it's an education problem? Melissa, I think you work in Bali educating the community, right? And I want to go to you because you're an exchange as well. So Melissa, first.
Yeah, so maybe, of course, it's an awareness and education, and I think we have to put that into the same category where we are assessing the whole trend of what counts as a valuable thing for us as humans, right? Today it can be, or 2 years ago it can be a JPEG file, 2,000 years ago it can be a beat or a panel, tomorrow it can be just like DM data or like EMS, or all that. But it is important to understand the social trends and what kind of economy it creates among people. Privacy obviously is one of those, and the data and the with the AI now, all that in hardware and software and user-centric products combination, it creates the needs for education. So education is always ideological, unless you just kind of put every kind of possible information out there, and in social situations and finance it's really hard. So what is important for as a ideology, and as trendsetters or trailblazers or the leaders in tech have that kind of a mission, obviously, to be aware what kind of technology they're producing. So it's not only okay, let's educate people kind of thing. It's crypto is grassroots. So what actually matters as a financial tool, as a content, it's really important. And for instance, privacy, right now, 2 developers of Tornado Cash, they are in prison. They're actually just because they're building privacy technology is basically they're risking their liberty. And so few people is just talking about it or aware of it, although this is actually the core of it. If we are for privacy, if we are for regulation of financial matters without any third party and institution and government, that's always something we have to be aware and educated and constantly reminding ourselves to. And obviously, then we have to spread the importance of these things if we want to build sustainable products that last more than a couple of months.
Utkarsh, how do you guys do it in India? I mean, India has a huge population of clients and life. It's a huge second biggest market, but there's barely anyone trading. That's the numbers, but how do you guys solve it?
Well, India happens to be number one in crypto adoption as per its analysis report for the past 2 years. Now, the number of users that are onboarding is very small or very less compared to the other exchanges, how it is happening worldwide. Education is one of the biggest challenge, and knowledge, imparting the knowledge is really a big challenge which is happening in the industry per se. Not just for the retail users or anything, but when I communicate with the authorities, when I work out with the police investigating officers, when I work out with the cyber sales people, there's a lot of challenge in terms of explaining them how things function. That is where I feel like education is very important. Now for us as an exchange, what we focus on is, we try to promote long and short form content. We try to make it very easy. There is certain user base, it's interesting for you to know also that people ask us why KYC and AML practices are very important. I don't want that. But being a centralized exchange, we have to learn to strike the right balance between the DEXs and the way it works out. And it's for the industry also, I believe, striking that right balance is very much important. So, education on that form, we're going with video type content, we're going with surveys, we're trying to collect data, what the users think, and then we try to formulate it, process it in such a way, educate them so that they can onboard easily, but then make their financial decisions independently with confidence. That is the priority for us. And a lot of authorities are actually now appreciating it. We have a great association, we have great teams working together, and it is working out really great in the interest of the whole ecosystem, I think.
I see one very central problem, especially in India, is regulations pretty stringent, right? And when that happens, it stifles innovation. So, but on the flip side, Web2, for example, enterprises, I speak to a lot of CIOs and CTOs and heads of technology because of the other Web2 events that we do, in fintech or banking and financial services. But even they are sort of skeptical about whether there is an actual use case for blockchain or is it all hype and all of these things. So now with the sudden hype around AI, the interest is coming back, right? So Felix, like, what's the good stuff? What's happening? The good stuff. Give me the good stuff.
There's a lot of good stuff. I really enjoy the AI events because there are really people who care for tech and really know their stuff. I mean, frankly, the industry has become so big that there's a lot of very intelligent people building really great stuff. But I've come to realize is number one, there's different perspectives on building stuff. So, you really build a company and a product. So you have to get users, you have to have product market fit. There's the investors you have to make happy with KPIs. There's the media story you have to tell. And, a lot comes down to good execution of really running a company where, it's sometimes sad to see how companies work from the inside and sometimes amazing to see how companies work from the inside. The one thing I really think where crypto is different from everything else is if you are a founder, if you build a company, you have multiple ways to do it differently than when you are a non-crypto company, because the way you raise money, the way you are able to actually get runway, do a proper treasury management, play all these games to get a runway of spending $500,000 every month for 10 years, that is only possible in crypto. And but then comes again back the product market fit. If you don't have a product market fit in the first place, and after 2 years you still don't have it, you might have 8 years runway, but then what do you have? So I think there's a lot of exciting stuff in all the niches. Like I don't even know where to start. This DeFi ecosystem is growing somewhat very self-referential. The whole AI space is growing. Again, the meme coin stuff is amazing. And the one thing I find really crazy right now is that you can pump a meme coin up to $1 billion market cap, like peanut, right? There's a Elon Musk tweet about an animal, and everybody's like, "Woo, we need animals." And then there's the dad of the animal, and the owner of the animal, and the sister, and the guy who hijacked the animal, and it's a whole story. And all these coins are pumped into $1 billion market, and everybody knows actually, there's nothing behind it. What does it matter, right? Because we're in a time where, how do you make money? Gamble, and that's good and it's bad. So
The greater fool theory, right? So somebody out there to buy what you have to sell.
I'd like to add, So I'd like to add to what Felix is saying that interesting times ahead. So when we talk about compliances in the Indian government in the previous question that you asked to all of us, education is important. When we look at it from a retail viewpoint, crypto and digital assets are looked at it from a very different viewpoint. At the same time, 2 of the Indian states have actually implemented blockchain in India for land title registry, because there has been a great scam happening, a lot of things happened in India. But there you implemented blockchain technology. I know it because I happened to be one of the tenders who applied for it and I didn't get the job. But then we got it done in India. So the whole thing is all about not the technology blockchain, as you rightly mentioned, it is about the utility, how we are putting it to purpose. And the digital assets, of course, are looked upon in a very different way. As you said, that while the technology is amazing, but meme coins are trending. So look at it from a centralized exchange viewpoint, whatever works is working well. But then when you look at it from a technology viewpoint, so it's not that great. Eventually people will lose probably money or will make money. We don't know, we can't speculate that. So everything works and everything does not work at the same time. It is at where you are and how things are really falling in place eventually. So, yeah.
My doctor the other day spoke about meme coins. That's when I was like, he was like early 50s or something. So I was like, okay, wow, this is what people are, getting out of crypto. They're like, speculation. I want to go beyond that. So Chris, I know you're not just limited to gaming, although you're with Sandbox right now.
Can I just have a add-on?
Sure.
To that? I agree, because there are layer ones that turned into a complete meme after 20 billion in evaluation and all these things, investing and patented proof of solution and everything. And honestly, many gaming companies also, like with a 1 million US burn rate, and then they run out of funds and it just disappears. What's the difference then, just a meme coin that actually functions, in terms of value? I'm also skeptical for that skepticism.
Got it.
And also the inflation. I think that because we're at such high levels of inflation right now, at some point we're looking at numbers just going up, going down, and they just become meaningless, And so meme coins are like, why not pay?
Yeah, Chris. So, what's happening on the tech side of things? What's exciting you? Are you think there's something that's really exciting you when you're going out and speaking to all these events, meeting so many founders?
Actually, I think I'm gonna stick to the gaming vertical. So basically, right now I'm incubating a project on Atos. So basically, they try to become more like a real infra for all of these games to connect into one place. So you can get in, get out, your asset, play the game, receive some bonus point and everything on a common platform, for example. Because right now, I think we go back to one of the point. I think a lot of the panelists mentioned that that education 101, like wallet, send coin, send token, receive NFT, that's where people drop off. So the project can make it so simple that now even if you're Web 2 gaming player, you can come in and play and slowly learn about the new topic. I think there's a few project in the Web3 already say that they want to do something like that, but I haven't seen anyone actually come close to build something that workable, for example.
Alright, so I use, essentially I seeing people, viewing crypto differently over the last couple of months because of all that's been happening. Has anything changed in terms of people's perception of crypto? Are they less afraid to get in, considering all that's going on, or do you think this is just a cyclical thing that keeps happening and the interest comes in and goes? Yeah, I mean, see, you are on the PR side of things, right? You're a storyteller with your project. So I think you have a pulse on the market and what people are actually thinking about crypto. What are your thoughts on how people?
I think at the moment the sentiment is very, very positive. With the U.S. elections, even before Trump got elected, there was so much. I think they were all lobbying for the crypto audience on both sides, right? Both the Democrats and Republicans. Because I think that finally it is kind of acknowledged that crypto is going to stay. This is going to be like an important part of the economy, whether they like it or not. And so I think that 2024, I think in the last 6 months, definitely the sentiment towards crypto, even for people who don't know about crypto, they're all getting on because, they read about what's happening, with, all that lobbying and all that, basically everyone is just trying to win over the cryptocrats, right? I think that in general right now, sentiment is very positive. But one more thing I want to add, what you guys were talking about with education and all that, I think that the use case, right, is extremely important. Education, yes, but then the how, I wanted to bring up a very interesting project that we actually helped. And what they did was they came up with these very interesting gamifying work solutions. So they get let's say you're working with a big organization like the Tokyo Power Electric Company, and let's say they had tasks that they had to do and they couldn't do it as well with their traditional methods. So this GameFi company that I was working with, they came up with a solution where they actually would reward gamers to help with just trying to maintain infrastructure, a bit like a Pokemon Go kind of game, where people go out, they check, oh, the electric poles are still working well, or no, this one's down. And then you do certain small tasks, and you actually get rewarded for it with tokens. So I thought that this was a very, very good use case, being able to gamify work tasks, for organizations. In a way that would make sense for them, in terms of how much they would pay and how much, because these are simple things like just, checking out, let's say, an electric pole, right? People walking around. But if someone had to do that and it was something that you had to pay a whole troop of inspectors, it would be quite costly. But if you did it as a game, right? And people are just earning some tokens on the way to work, and then they're always going to be going through this route, and they can just earn some tokens for it, and so all these kinds of use cases that are really creative, I think, and very community driven. I think these are, what are more needed, for more adoption.
I agree with you completely. The use cases, there's so many use cases. But before I open it up to the audience for Q&A, I want to ask you guys. We spoke a bit about speculation, so very nice putting your money. Tell me, I mean, what's investing where you guys putting your money? What are you holding? What are you guys doing?
Is it charity or to make money?
That's the thing. Where are you going? Where are you going wrong? So where are you putting your money?
Okay, I'll be really transparent. At the end of
No shame about this.
I mean, at the end of last year, when I started, like knowing that there were all these kinds of applications for ETFs and all that coming out, and then you check online and you see that all these huge institutions are hoarding Bitcoin. I just sold 90 something % of all my coins, and I just bought Bitcoin, and it has been great for me this year.
What is that?
Well, I mean, more than 8 years in the space, if I talk frank. Of course, the reason I ask if it's charity or to make money is because, like, I personally support a lot of like Bitcoin ecosystem growth, which is still quite a charity because it's very hard to like, which also taps what you're saying, because eventually you have to define the competitive landscape, and it's very hard in Web3. Attention being the biggest source of competition, where there's also like user grab for the daily activities, and so eventually, if your product talks to only OGs, where less transaction volume happens at any given time, like then you have to like build a narrative also that simplifies new user onboarding and everything. So for the Bitcoin layer 2, it's like still very by heart loans, but obviously there's a lot to be aware, like what you expect from that. And so obviously we do deep dipping these days, real world assets, and kind of new to me, but kind of acquired a couple of gaming companies, which was totally like the necessity out of necessity. So like kind of it all needs to make sense eventually for your capacity and everything. And I think like the last 2 years I made the most money on like still the quite a few successful ICOs, and be patient on those actually. And the small scale times, it was just honestly the new coins and a couple of gaming projects. And going forward, I think the most important thing for like to understand what you're actually bullish on is to define or answer one question. What would you be interested in if you have $1 billion? Then you're not actually deciding what would work for me tomorrow or how to make money and everything, but you have all the resources and you need to make it work. And that kind of brings you to like either to complete technological side, but then you lose the grasp of user retention and acquisition part, or you just go fully centralized and pick a working functioning team. And that's what has been doing all the VCs so far, and that's why like it works to a degree. If you find the right team, then you don't like it doesn't matter what you're actually investing. But eventually, everything I expect in the next coming months and years, a bit more centralization, like centralized like platforms. Not centralization, reconcentration, because there's multiplicity of products out of this. So I expect concentration for platforms that does multiple things and brings different projects and everything. And that's not why people are actually like launching layer 1s right now, because it's kind of like you have a functioning economy and you need a structure, not like you have a faster, better, lighter, cheaper product. So yeah.
It's very simple. The older I get, the more Bitcoin maxi I become.
I tend to agree with you there.
Oh, and the other thing, Felix, you'd be interested to know, I'm not big into AI bot trading. Because of you, yeah. You got me onto AI, like AI, and I was like, oh
Very
my
happy to hear that.
I believe Bitcoin, of course, has reached to a significant level, and not in terms of cost and value, but the way people look at it. I feel that the crypto, per se, digital assets, that's the right way to call it. Digital assets are going to make it mark. I firmly believe in it. I think there's still a long way to go for the whole ecosystem to increase the collective intelligence, because a handful of people here and a handful of people everywhere else are working hard to share their knowledge, impart everything that would really eventually reach out to the masses. So for me, it happens to be Bitcoin in that sense. If you're asking where I'm investing or plan to invest, otherwise I think the digital assets will definitely make it mark, and we can't ignore it, as you also mentioned. You can't really ignore it.
Awesome, guys. So I'll open it up to questions for the audience. So, anybody has any questions? Oh, Stefano.
Okay, thanks. I haven't heard much about real world assets. Anyone wants to pick it up? And also for Melissa, if you can describe how is the onboarding and the adoption in Turkey, because it seems like it's one of the fastest countries.
So to answer the first one, I'm gonna start with the total one, but for Turkey, actually I'm from Turkey, but when I was still living in Turkey, there was no crypto scene, no exchange, no nothing. When I got back and there was like BTC Turk sponsoring the airport and basketball matches and taxi drivers asking me which coins to buy, I was completely shocked. So I honestly don't know, but now we are connecting more. Wire branches are coming to Turkey, and there are a couple of exciting stuff. And user onboarding and all that. The most important thing for any project to actually expand to Turkey market is that like the ticket sizes can vary, and that creates a lot of fluctuation. Because of the hyperinflation that's happening there. Like people still trade as low as $50, $100. So you may have thousands of people in the community, but that doesn't bring in the most volume basically. So that should be really interesting to actually keep in mind for the expansion. And there's still not a startup scene yet. And there are multiple reasons for that, but I think it's kind of like all boils down to have the Web3 startup culture, which is different than the actual fintech or other startup scene. So the first question was about the real world assets tokenization, right? So the real world asset tokenization is basically securities. So that's basically the first thing to talk about it and to approach it as this. It has to be compliant, it has to be specified under which jurisdiction, and it has to be specified in like the market and where the compliance is actually going to take place. If it's, as far as I know, there's only one property related to real assets tokenization platform that does this on the chain level. Once the contract is live, it means that it is compliant under certain relevant jurisdiction. I may it later in private if you ask me. But of course, luxury goods, gold, and everything, like there's a complete variety of all these different things that we can call as real world assets. And the answer is like, what do you want to achieve with? If you basically tokenize something and just hold the storage value and start thinking that, like, okay, this is now the token, anyone can buy, hold, and then if the actual asset, which is already very problematic, goes up, then you sell it at a better value and make profit. this is like just the tokenization side is relatively easy. It's almost can be done with any NFT technology as long as the title holder and everything is in place. But to then fractionalize and turn like distribute dividends while operating the underlying assets, that's where the complexity starts because like it's basically not allowed in most jurisdiction and it's like it makes everything for public context that it's basically very difficult to scale and then make that product a tradable product in the world is very expensive, like hard. So if you want to fractionalize one-to-one and like with a personal relationship that you can do with the contract too, then you don't need all the complexity of the blockchain. But the reason you need the blockchain infrastructure if you want to scale it. And then you have a tradable product, which is to completeness. And there are like some good products out there, like all that works on the compliance level and the infrastructure level. And I would just go with one of those if you have an asset or if you want to invest in it. Or you go pick somewhere that has a friendly jurisdiction and do something there so you might be a pioneer on that aspect, but it's a very challenging topic.
Thank you, Wilson. Questions from the audience?
Thank you for the questions and the answers. So I come from a Web3 company here today. The video gaming studio, as it's expected, that next year users to come by. Two questions I have in this list. One regarding the token, because I've seen so many tokens launched since 5-6 years, and they die out after the session dies out. But usually, whenever somebody is getting to a promise, as Lisa also mentioned, right, they counting that how they will keep up the demand, there's a reservation for ecosystem, there's a reservation for airdrops, and everything. But I've seen after 1 or 2 years, the utility just dies out, and just rewarding and rewarding. So it takes this now. As soon as the reward tokens go out, they move to the next thing. Chains are coming up, as soon as the rewards are coming up, the chains are dying down and moving up. That's one part. Second, because I come from the gaming, gaming is very big, the 3 community is coming in hard, they don't care the technology is improving, but that's not really like anything that can be improved. So what is, you think, a major term of event that can be introduced into the file for gamers to actually break the overall? One thing I've heard mostly is that get them a Web2 kind of experience so that they will feel it's a Web3. In your experience, because you're invested in companies that exist on that, what can be the next thing in the game? So 2 things, the tokens and the game, that's my question to speak. Felix and Melissa.
Sure, I mean, at the end of the day, it's supply and demand, so it's very easy to apply a token from the supply side. It's very hard to get really demand for a token. I think there's a few aspects to it. If you're a game developer, you probably should make a game that people play, that people love, that have a great community, and then have a really use case for what these people can do within your gaming economy. And there's the answer for your demand side, which is set very easy, but very, very difficult. The second part probably is you have to be clever to have the right stuff in place at the right moment in time, and the narrative is good. It was very easy to do metaverse things a few years ago. I think people like Sandbox is have a difficult time right now to really get something going because it's a hard to control this narrative right now. But again, I think that the most difficult part is to really create a demand side, and you have to really think about why people should buy that token beyond just speculation.
I can answer briefly, not specifically for gaming, but we'll share knowledge out of that, but generally for tokenomics and what creates the whole magic. First of all, you have to, when you're building the total tokenomics, you have to skim it and check for all the red flags, that's for sure. Distribution of the token, and it's like the investment periods, and it's like everything. Once you've done that, that's more or less standard way to look at it. And it has to be customized for your product, for what you're building, and has to be aligned with the actual financial projections and dynamics of the holding. You have to know the user acquisition costs. You have to know what actually, like, what any weekday of operational term costs you and the team or the users. So, like, it is still a real business. And most people actually like skip that because it's kind of like, well, okay, let's just go to token 50% to you, but 50% to the community, and that's it. No, it has to be really worked out. What is the actual economy of what you're creating? Because you have to make sure, first of all, if you're launching anything in Web3, you have to make sure everyone gets a value. In terms of like community, in terms of financial, obviously, in terms of interaction between each other, and it has to, like, you have to create something that gets more valuable with each time, and that defines the whole narrative. I'm not sure, and I'm going to say something that is not backed by like research or anything, but my insight is that when you look at all games that make money for their like investors at any given point, if you look at it, you wouldn't find a single outstanding formula. The reason is that like you can basically implement the gaming and token related financial activity in game. You might just use the token as a purely financial fundraising strategy. They won't work. It has to make sense for that specific economy, and mainly to achieve the supply and demand and the attention economy rules.
Thank you. Lisa, you mentioned the attention economy. So my question is, we have 5 billion people using social media daily. We have 800 million people in crypto. So it means that sooner or later we will have something new, next generation social media. My question to all of you, how do you imagine next generation social media, and what do you think about the digital economy?
So I think going back to the awareness, education, and all that, like let's say all the user experience is flawless. Like the moment you go live on your Instagram, TikTok, or whatever, like it's connected. Like Telegram is now doing the tone, you have a wallet and everything, and it's just so easy when you're talking. The text and the AI reads that there's going to be a transaction that comes up. Pop-up notification that can connect to your wallet, and then you can initiate that transaction easily, or like buy an emoji, click on it, or like it is. How I imagine is once the user like UI UX and onboarding and the implementation level is totally there, then it's all about our creative mind and what's going to actually be meaningful for people to actually use as a transaction piece. Like, and for that, it's very useful to understand the attraction of like all the like coins and coming from the like seashells, and how like it turned into like actual use of gold, and it's like how the palace now comes in and everything. So this is really important. It's kind of like unforeseeable. So like the effect eventually is going to be a network effect, and we cannot really know what's going to happen. But the awareness side comes in where we have to prioritize privacy, data, and all these, like to understand and create truly unique and also useful technology with like the right values. Because we honestly, I mean, of course it makes money, but we don't want generations to spend and like do like everything 24 hours. Like we want people to do that for the financial times and do like for half of the leisure times, but like all the other stuff, travel and everything, which is not really sustainable in the long term because increase the level of population. But eventually it's really important to understand what's the actual transaction there. If it's for leisure and if you're not stealing from, because attention economy is not stealing time from the screen time and your what you're doing online. It steals from your time you play basketball with your friends or the time you spend with your wife, and all these actually all together, what kind of tomorrow we want to achieve, and what we want to what kind of culture we want to foster basically. So I think everything can be monetized, because when you're talking about meme coins and NFTs, sometimes it's like you're talking they're complete nada. It just doesn't exist. Yes, there's nothing actual to value, but this is not new. People are using any sort of ornaments, and they're into collectibles in right now. There's very big in Singapore, basically those little bears, and everyone's in it. The big ones are $1,000. That's basically just in real life NFTs, and collectibles are still a huge thing. So eventually, the whole thing doesn't matter. How to actually foster that economy and what does it serve in the end? I think that's really important to be more makes sense.
Well, I think it will just to add on to that. I think it is going to be just another technology in 20 years or so, or 2.5 years from now. I think there was a time that I was doing business development sales. Focused commerce, quick commerce, WordPress, these are the things in technology we're talking about. And everyone was moving on to content management systems. Today we don't talk about it. We're talking about AI, we're talking about blockchain, crypto assets, SpaceX, Tesla, and so many things technology based. So innovation is going to happen. This is just going to be just another technology, and maybe we'll be talking about something else which we have not seen yet in the next 20 years. And the point of meme coin or stable coins, so much is happening in the industry. I think this will all fade away. Eventually, we'll know what our preferences are, what our priorities are. As humanity, as all of us collectively, I think we'll be very clear about what we want to be and what we have to hold on to and pursue going forward. This is my 2 cents on the whole subject, if I understood correctly what your question is. Thank you.
We have one last question. My friend Sherry.
Hey, thank you everybody. Your love on the project. I'm learning so much. I'm very new. I'm usually 2 months. But I'm very new to this, and I come from a food, tech background, robotics, and this now is the good stuff inside. I realized building things with hammers and screws, that came with its challenges. So I'm really loving this, and I really think that we're moving into a great direction because you see the pieces it teaches you, everyone, that DevCon and so on, Genesis, you see the pieces, but it still seeds within your community, which I'm not in yet, but I'm working hard to get it. You're still very silent, and I'm just wondering how much you feel that is changing and or holding you back or helping.
Sorry, I missed the word. Here's
silent. So you're working as individual units, you do some collaborations, but I've noticed there still seems to be a lot of ego in the community. And this is typical of normal any community, car community, sports community, whatever, Pokemon. But in this case, it's important.
So I think it might be So I think it might be a very like that, but for us as KoinBX and say for myself, I see this also as a collaboration in the industry that we're working in together, because sharing viewpoints, imparting knowledge, throwing things out there on the table and then waiting for perspectives to change or to give feedback, even critical feedback or criticism is also very good, because that helps you optimize yourself, it helps you to be more productive and bring in efficiency. Now, for us, actually, I remember speaking to Rohit the last night, where we are trying to collaborate with a lot of industry players like banking partners, finance partners, working out with the government authorities, and cyber security police department itself. So the collaboration is there.
why appears to be silos, but I'm just thinking now that why this question is happening. So I think maybe we all are working within ourselves to make a stronger case so that we can work together when we talk, we have some more context. I think maybe that can be the case here. That's how I think.
Yeah, I understand. It feels more on that R&D stage still, right? Because this is, we're changing every 6 months. Okay? I love the flow. I love the fluidity. It's spectacular. So, I think that you might be, you also brought in government, and that's a side conversation, but I think what we're talking about decentralization should really be taking back control of those 5 billion, 6 billion are the most underserved on the planet. And the last 37 countries I've lived in, and the 288 town and village and community, it's all about them. And I really think you have the superpowers and the skills, man, to build this system that gets us to Paris, gets us to euphoria, because we have to, and we will get there, right? Because we live in the Stone Age, so we just think we're smart. So,
to be very honest, I think that this industry, the Web3 industry, is probably the least siloed space that I have come across. I mean, like in traditional finance, in traditional manufacturing, F&B, all kinds of other industries. Actually, if you compare it, I think those are more siloed than the Web3 industry. I think yeah. So when you asked that question, I was a little bit surprised because actually I found that this industry has been most collaborative and the least siloed as compared to like all the rest.
well, you're absolutely right. I apologize if I didn't
no
got you before I got you, so I'm after it. But I think the idea is just and I'm not, this isn't a knock or anything. I am so humbled by this group that I've met, and I'm living in Bangalore, and I'm rocking there with amazing talent. But man, it was nice to see the internationalness, this togetherness. So I think Web3 is absolutely what all resources can be focused on. If you can get over that bottleneck, just like Coin has, you gotta get people in the door, right? And in my case, is hospitality, tours, and that kind of thing. I can get people thumbs on things.